So during quarantine, I basically tripped and fell face first directly into a rabbit hole, and that rabbit hole is the Lolita community. I first found this fashion back in 2012 during my cringy scene days, and I only really found it through Gaia Online and DeviantArt. When I tried to replicate it from hand-me-downs, it was not ideal. But in recent years, the main thing that's drawn me into the fashion is the way that all of these people are so deeply connected with the brands and the seamstresses that make their clothes. Like, I've never found a non-sewing community that has so much of a respect for their garments before. They'll even go so far as to, like, memorize the names of the garments, when they were released, when they were re-released, and how many colorways they have. It's kind of insane, actually. Honestly, their love for these garments parallels the love that Victorians had back in the day for Worth gowns, and you could argue that Mana is a stand-in for modern-day Worth. When I first started this project, I thought it was going to be like a really big deal that I was sneaking into the Lolita community and sewing an entire cord by myself, but then I found that there's actually a lot of seamstresses that have done this exact thing, and it's not that unique, and it's not actually frowned on at all. In fact, when I joined my local Lolita community, there were people that were just casually talking about sewing, which was awesome. And I even got invited to a virtual meetup, even though the only cord they'd ever seen of me was, Simplicity 1300 strikes again. So I knew roughly what I wanted, and that it had to have a green tea theme, because I'm the kitsch. I decided to go with taking classic Lolita as an inspiration because I found the pin tucks and the lace insertion easier to mimic with at-home methods, whereas the border prints that you tend to see in Gothic and Sweet, not quite as easy. Although I do have an idea knocking around in my head about how to make some of those, but that's again a topic for another day. Also, I knew that I wanted to hand make the accessories as much as possible as well, mostly because I'm broke and there's a corona going around, so didn't really have access to anything that I wasn't making myself. Pinning down an exact design was a really intense process. I went through 3 total iterations of the dress before finally resolving to shop for my notions and see what was actually available before I got too attached to any one design. As I might find out, the trims required were not available or insanely expensive, so I wound up being more inspired by what I could find instead of trying to find something that I had already decided on, which would be much harder. I lucked out when I found this matcha green 100% cotton fabric, and I also bought another 500 yards of lace. Like a crazy person. Because this dress is a sweet-leaning classic style, I wanted it to hit just below the knee. All of the bodices I've seen are princess seamed and come to the natural waist. I also think that my princess seams should be pushed just a little bit closer together. This is very wide, especially when I don't have the jabot dangling in front of it. It's just this giant blank space, and I don't really see that happening in other dresses. Now for the fun part. I had originally planned to sneak into an in-person meetup in this outfit, but then the pandemic just didn't end. So I got impatient, and I asked Sweetie Sprout over on YouTube, I'll link her channel down in the below because she's awesome. I asked her if she would review my outfit and give me a grade, and she did, so I'm just gonna let her take it away from here.
Hello, I'm Sweetie Sprout, and I'm about to react to this video of a completely handmade Lolita outfit that she has put together. I'll be giving my initial reactions and honest feelings on the presentation of the outfit, the construction. I do have a little bit of a sewing background, so I'll be able to give my opinion on that as well, and I'm really excited to see what she's put together. It should be really cute, so let's get into it. I see that we're starting with the petticoat. First of all, I love all the lace on the bottom. I love that she added the lace trim. That's something that she could have very well not added. It's not super necessary, but I love the extra care and the details like that. That's really what makes these outfits come out so beautifully and come together. I do see that the bottom hem of the petticoat is a little uneven as far as like the lengths, but I think that's probably just from how much fabric is cinched up together in order to get that floof. So considering it is handmade, I don't know how easy it really is to avoid something like that. I've made my own petticoat before and mine had that as well. So I think that's probably just a common thing when it comes to cinching all of that fabric together. And I do see as well that the petticoat has a finished waistline as well, so that's very nice. A lot of people could have just left it raw considering it's not being seen, so I'm already really enjoying the effort that I'm seeing to make this a nice polished and finished product. Alright, looks like we are moving on to the blouse now. Oh, how cute! Okay, so I love the Peter Pan collar. I love the sleeves. It's very unique. And I will also say that just in my experience working with really lightweight, airy fabrics like this can be a really big pain to keep it having like a really even, like structured look to it. You have to use certain linings and interfacings to get it to keep its shape. But with something like this, you would want it to remain a little see-through to get that sort of classic Lolita vibe to it. So I love what she's done with making use of the fabric and the way that it is hard to work with. I love the shape of the sleeves. I hope I get to see a little closer look at those. I'm sure I will, but I love the shape of the sleeves. I love the ruffles. I will say that the collar is a little uneven. Maybe it just needs a better press on it, but again, it comes with the territory of working with this fabric. So job well done, I would say, with those things considered. Oh, and the JSK itself, let me stop here. First of all, I love the color. I think that this is a beautiful color for Lolita. It's a nice spring green. I love the simple but very classic and elegant details you've added to it. It looks like, I might be mistaken, but it looks like there are multiple layers of different laces for the straps and on the bodice. I love the three-tiered lace you added to the bottom. Very classic, excellent choice. As far as construction, I love that all of the cinching at the waistline looks to be evenly spread around. That's an issue that can be hard to avoid, is sometimes your cinches, you know, group up together in one area and are not even, so I love how evenly they are dispersed. The waistline itself looks like it might be a little uneven, but that might just be the way the petticoat is sitting underneath it. I'm sure I'll get a better look at that later, but so far I love the choices you've made for the dress itself as well. Oh yes, some close-ups. Okay, so it looks like there are two different laces layered on the bodice, and the green that I was seeing, see, I thought that was a completely separate lace. It's just the dress itself showing through, it looks like. So you added straps and then put the lace over it. Love that. I love how nice and crisp the top seam is on the bodice. Oh, and a removable bow. I love that. The bow is very big and beautiful. I love it. It reminds me of when I was making Sailor Moon cosplay. Those bows are very big and like anime style, and this looks very similar to the pattern that I used when I was making my Sailor Moon bows, so I'm a big fan of that. I love that you've added in that additional white detail in the middle to tie into the rest of the dress. Very smart design choice. Oh, more little bows. And two cravats, wow. That is very bold to keep making items with this fabric. I would not have the patience for that, so I really love that you really went for it and added in a bunch of accessories, especially working with such a, in my opinion, annoying fabric to deal with. So I love that. I love that I can see that you finished the edge of the cravat, and it's even got like a little scalloped hem edge to it. I love that. And I know that was probably a pain in the butt to do, so definitely points there. Oh, so cute. I love how the tails on the bow cravat almost had like a lettuce hem to it, where it's kind of like wispy and wiggly looking like the edge of a lettuce. I think that's very romantic and whimsical looking. I love that. Oh, and she's got the dress on. How cute. It fits you really well. Let me just say, you nailed the fit. It fits the proportions of your body as well. I noticed that looking at the bodice, it looked a little long, but I have a really short torso. So it looks like if you made it to fit your body proportionally, which is great, obviously, since it's made for you. Oh, looks like we've got some rings and some little wrist cuffs. Oh, that lace ring is adorable. I might have to make some of those myself. Very smart. Very cute. Oh, and I see you have a headdress as well. Yes, let's see. No. Are those they're tea bags. Oh my god. And there's a little heart on the tag. Okay, that's brilliant. That's the headdress. It's the headdress for me. This is so cute. I love that you use the same laces from the bodice of the dress. The tea bags are brilliant. I love it. And when people hand make items like this, it's these little additions that are so unique and special to each person, and that's why I love Handmade Lolita. Love the headdress. The ruffling all looks very even. The seams look pressed. Okay, yeah, let's get a better look at this blouse. I love that it has the little band here. Oh, and those sleeves. Okay, so it's shaped like a star shape for added fluff and shape. I love that. I don't think I've seen a blouse that has that specific shape to it before. That's very unique, and I love that. Oh, is that also, I think I also see a necklace. I need to redo the zipper. Yeah, me with everything I've ever made. The zipper is the hardest part. I hate it. Okay, yeah, and the little choker, so cute. Again, using the same laces from the rest of the dress. I love it. Oh, and the little bows on the front too. So it looks like you can do quite a bit of interchanging with this dress. I love that you've thought about that, which is something that a lot of brand name Lolita dresses do as well. So I love your desire or attempt to kind of match that. I love the poof that the dress has. Best part, let's see. Pockets. We love that. We love a dress with pockets. Too much swooshing, never enough. So cute. Oh, the shoes are fine. I love the silhouette. I love the way it fits you. I would say it does overall have a feeling of being handmade, but not because it's poorly made at all by any means. I think it looks more handmade, or at least close to like an indie brand, because it is so unique. Although it is simple, it does have a lot of handmade indicators just with the design choices, and you can tell that it was made with love. I don't know if that's ridiculous to say, but when I see something that was made by hand like this, you really get a feeling for what the person wanted this to look like. They spent so much time designing it themselves. Designing clothes is hard. Even when, in my experience of just fabricating cosplay or making my own designs, it's hard to come up with something like this. And so you can really get a sense of the effort and the work that went into making something like this. And that's what's beautiful about Handmade Lolita. I think that if you took this to a gathering or a tea party, I think that it would be seen as more of like an indie style dress if people weren't to immediately assume that it was handmade. I think it has a really excellent capture of like a more classic style. So if someone were to think that it was brand name, maybe more of like a vintage old school vibe is what they would get from it. That's what I immediately think of anyway. But I do think that this has more of an indie or handmade style. Again, not because it's poorly made. I don't think it is at all. It just has a lot of subtleties and little things here and there that show that it was made by one person. It wasn't made by a machine with a bunch of copies made. It is a unique, one-of-a-kind piece, and it gives off that lovely energy. Thank you so much for sending this to me to react to. I really enjoyed it. I think this is going to be a great video, and I wish you a bunch of success. Bye!
Okay, now let me just like pull my ego back down to earth real quick. Thank you so much for reviewing my work and for all the lovely things that you had to say. I actually asked for concrete and there was almost no criticism in there, but thank you. I'm just gonna be like floating for the next 5 days with the hugest ego ever, but thank you. If you don't know Sweetie Sprout, she's a YouTuber who puts out fantastic Lolita content. I watch her stuff all of the time, and I will have her linked down below because she's awesome and you should check her out. I also want to thank everyone in the Facebook group Sewing Lolita Collective that reviewed my work and made suggestions on how to improve. you'reallthebomb.com, and I will link that group down in the description box below so any Lolitas who are trying to sew can jump into that community too, because they're lovely. So all in all, I'm really happy with this dress. I'll be posting the making of video next, so be sure to subscribe and see that if you're curious. Bye friends!